Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good evening, should I say. Excuse me. We're going to give folks a few moments to jump on and join us. It is my sincere prayer and hope that everyone is having a wonderful holiday season, Christmas week, getting ready for 2026, getting ready for the new year. I pray that you have vision for the next year, what it's going to look like for you, the plans you have in place to execute. Um, so looking forward to our discussion tonight, as well as um, what's up on us going into a new year. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, we'll give folks a couple more minutes to join us. Tonight we'll be talking about Christmas, our humanity, love, and seeing each other again. We've gotten away from being able to see each other, and this is the perfect time to remind us of that, because we know that Jesus is, of course, the reason for the season, but what encompasses Jesus being the reason for the season is his love for all humanity, for all creation, right? Sacrifice that he made that you and I might have a right to the tree of life. We accomplished that through love. All right. A couple more minutes and we'll get started. Once again, we're talking tonight about Christmas, humanity, our humanity, how that shows up in love. And we need to see each other. We need to really start seeing each other. And we'll talk about what that means. Once again, thank you for being with me tonight. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like, follow, share. If you find our content to be of value, please share with your network, with your sphere of influence, if you will. And make sure you make some comments too on what we're doing, the things that you can appreciate, the things that you're learning, the questions you may have, or the things you may not like. We want to see that. We want to be able to respond to that. Hello, cuz. I see you done joined. Alexa, pause. All right. Once again, everyone, good evening to you, wherever you are. It is my hope, my sincere hope and prayer that this season you keep the main thing, which is the reason for this season, and that's Jesus Christ. He is the reason for this glorious season that we're in. Tonight, we're talking about Christmas, humanity, our humanity, love, and seeing each other. We really need to start, seeing each other. We need to start respecting, honoring each other, and being helpful and serving one another. That's what this season brings about in reflection. As we close out the year, we begin to reflect on what happened this year, what we did that worked, which was successful, what was not so successful, and just gearing up and preparing for a great 2026. So, in this Christmas season episode of Meaningful Conversations with Dr. Devin Oten, we pause to reconnect with our shared humanity. Um, Beyond the lights, the gifts, the trees, however you celebrate, traditions, Christmas invites us to love continually, constantly, deeply, right? We got enough shallow love, right? Where we tell people we love them, we don't really demonstrate what love is. It's easy to say it. It's an overused word. It's an over abused word in every language, right? I love you, I love you, I love you. And sometimes we don't even really know what that means. But Christmas invites us to love more continually, more consistently, more deeply across all of our differences, across all of the pain that we've encountered. We've lost a number of loved ones, people that we're close with, people that we love, um, friends, community members, church members. Send out a special prayer tonight to Sister Lindsay Ward. She lost her husband this week, Brother Michael Ward, and the entire family there. And for so many of us who've experienced some level of loss this year and even in this season, our hearts go out to you, our prayers, our thoughts are with you, and let us know how we can support you through this season. So, the spirit of Christmas, if you will, the spirit of love, humanity, um, it reaches across all of our differences, across any pain that we have, across creation itself. And you'll hear me say this from time to time, talking about creation, right? Because God called us to be here to take care of his creation. If we look at the creation story, we look at Genesis chapter 2, he, gives Adam a job to oversee the Garden of Eden, gives him a job to name all of the trees, insects, birds, mammals, everything, right? Plant life. Um, he gave him that job to oversee creation, to love creation, and not to dishonor and disrespect creation. So we want to talk about that a little bit tonight. And this conversation explores how love transforms us as individuals, how it can transform our communities, right, and the world, because that's the objective is to impact the world with love. It reminds us that the true spirit of Christmas is not in gift giving and going into debt, charging up your credit cards, all of those things. No, it's about compassion, right? It's about empathy, something we've talked about many times on my podcast, Meaningful Conversations. Emotional intelligence, empathy being a part of that, and responsibility to one another. Yeah, we are responsible for one another. Okay, whether you know that or not, we are responsible. You heard the term, am I my brother's keeper? Yes, you definitely are your brother's keeper. Part of the breakdown in so many of our communities around the country and around the world is that we don't understand that we're responsible for one another, right? And we're responsible once again for God's creation. So during this Christmas season, brothers and sisters, friends, family, we're surrounded by reminders, right? We have a wreath on the door here with lights flashing. My neighbors, of course, have lights up, have snowmen and reindeer, Santa Claus, all those things in the yard. So in this season, we're constantly reminded about joy, generosity, and goodwill, right? But we're also living in a world that's marked by division. It's marked by pain and suffering, right? It's marked by a number of people feeling disconnected from other people, from their community. Um, and of course, there's a number of reasons why. I really pray every day, and I think about how our children were impacted by COVID and the pandemic in 2020. It's caused so much anxiety and depression for young people because in a lot of cases they weren't supported properly. Of course, their parents were off, maybe working. They were at home by themselves trying to navigate how to continue to learn and network with their teachers and administrators and classmates. And of course, I didn't go through that. So I haven't been impacted in that way. And we have to show empathy and compassion and concern for that segment of our community, right? That segment of our population. So today's conversation is about returning to what makes us human. What is that? You might say, Devin. What is it that makes us human? It's love. That's what makes us human, love. Not sentimental love. I'm talking about transformational love, right? A love that reaches across, the deepest oceans, the highest mountains, wherever people are. We have a heart to be there to help them, assist them in any way that we can. That's transformational love, not this sentimental stuff. Oh, I love you. I love you. We overuse it and abuse it all the time. We need to experience a love that sees dignity, right, in every person, a love that honors God and God's creation, and it challenges us to live differently. And when you love, you live differently. You can't be closed off if you live and operate in love. You can't say, "Oh, it's not my problem." Yes, if we have a responsibility to each other, it is our collective problem to solve and to figure out, right? So this conversation, it's about Christmas, it's about humanity, it's about love, it's about us seeing each other, right? So as it is, in each episode, we do somewhat of a deep dive into what the research, says about our subject matter. So, love and well-being. According to the Harvard Human Flourishing Program, studies show that people who regularly practice compassion and empathy, they tend to experience lower stress levels, better mental health, and longer life expectancy. I want to say that again. This is according to the Harvard Human Flourishing Program. Their studies show that people who regularly practice compassion and empathy, regularly show compassion and empathy, those people tend to experience lower levels of stress, better mental health, and have a longer life expectancy. So there are a lot of benefits, my brothers and sisters, my friends. There are a lot of benefits to showing and demonstrating empathy and compassion to people regularly. I say daily, right? Find someone that you can show compassion to, because trust me, in the course of your day, you are going to run into people who need someone to be a listening ear, someone to show empathy, someone to, kind of come along with them, jump in their shoes and say, I feel what you're feeling. I've had that experience and I want to be here to support and help in any way. According to the OECD Social Cohesion Report, love builds stronger communities. That's obvious, right? I can remember uh, my grandmother talking about, and my mother talking about the community in which they grew up in and lived in, uptown in the Carrollton area, and how neighbors were responsible for each other. They watched out for each other. They supported their community. Therefore, they had very low levels of crime, if you will. They didn't have people breaking in houses and stealing and doing all these things because the neighborhood was responsible for each other, right? uh, in my generation growing up, a neighbor could tell you something. If you were doing something you had no business doing, they could spank your behind, call your house, your grandmother, your mother, your father, whoever, and say, "Hey, look, Devin was down here doing such and such. I put that paddle on him, a switch on him, and I told him to get straight home. And as soon as you got home, you got strapped up once again," right? Because the community, the neighbors, they understood that we were all responsible for each other. Now we can't tell the kids anything. You tell a kid something in your neighborhood now, you liable to have the police knocking on your door and putting cuffs on you, because the enemy of all things godly, man, he does not want us to be responsible for each other, right? He wants us to be isolated, separated, uh, left to our own devices, if you will. And that way he can wreak havoc, right? He can play with people's minds, play with their emotions, and cause confusion. So, according to the OECD Social Cohesion Study and Report, communities with higher levels of social trust and empathy experience lower crime rates and stronger economic cooperation. Love reduces conflict, or at least it should, right? Love should reduce conflict. Research in conflict resolution shows that empathy based dialogue, that's talking it out, right, significantly reduces polarization and hostility between opposing groups. The reason we can stay mad at people and with each other so long is because we are so stubborn and we refuse to just communicate with each other, right? What's your issue? Okay. Okay. What's my issue? Let's talk about what those are. Let's talk about how we resolve those things. Instead, we tend to, go to our own neutral corner, right? And not discuss and communicate. When I was pastoring, and especially when I was counseling couples who were preparing to get married, I would tell them there were three primary reasons. I believe it's four, but there's only three I can remember right now. Three primary reasons why people separate and or divorce, split, whatever you want to call it. Number one is money, the lack thereof, the misuse thereof. Number two is communication, the lack of communication, bad communication, which causes, distrust and so many other ills, and family interference. Families getting involved, speaking in each one's ear, siding with one over the other. Those are the three primary reasons why people split up, separate, and or divorce, because we don't understand that love reduces conflict. But we reduce conflict in love when we communicate uh, compassionately and empathetically with each other. And you can jump in and share your thoughts on what we're talking about tonight. If you have some questions, please put that in the chat as well. I promise I won't be long. I see my wife jumped on. Hi, baby. Celebrating with Vonna and her family. Okay. Um, Another point, love and creation, we should have care and love for creation. I used to have issues when I was a young minister with people who, people with PETA, people who, were fighting to save the planet, animals, so on and so forth. Because in my mind, it was like, man, we should be focused on just preserving human life. But that's not why the only thing we were put here for. We were put here to preserve all of creation too. So when you see someone, man, who is passionate about saving dogs and cats and saving trees, we used to call them tree huggers. Um, Show them some compassion and some empathy and some support, because that's a call. That's a call from God to have a passion to be able to care for all of creation. So environmental studies show that people who feel connected to nature are more likely to protect their environment and support sustainable practices. Love for creation leads to stewardship. And we see that all throughout faith, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, or some other form of spiritual worship. The one thing that connects spiritualism, if you will, is this stewardship, being a good caretaker of what you have, what you own, what you possess, and also the things around you, right? So faith and love, what it looks like. What does that look like in action? Faith inspired acts of love, that's service, that's generosity. And this is a good one, it's forgiveness. It's forgiveness. Sometimes we don't understand that forgiveness is tied to love. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He forgave us and gave us his son. His love was shown through forgiveness. It's amazing to me how we can walk around and walk in forgiveness to someone who did something that offended us, upset us, hurt us 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. I'll never forget. I can't remember who it was. I was listening to a pastor preach, and he said he would prefer to forgive people because when he go on vacation with his wife, he preferred not to take those people with him. So what he was communicating to us is when you don't forgive people, you take them everywhere you go. You carry them in your heart, in your mind, in your body, everywhere you go because you're holding on to this unforgiveness. So these acts of love, um, the strongest among us, or the strongest predictor among us in our communities, is resilience to crisis. And we are able to exhibit this resilience when crisis takes place in our personal lives, in our family, in our community, when we demonstrate love to others, right? I have a few questions that I want to pose to you, and then we're going to close out because I know it's Christmas Eve. Everyone's getting ready for tomorrow and preparing for that. Once again, I pray that you have a wonderful time with your family and your friends, celebrating this wonderful time or this wonderful season of celebration that we're in. So, the first question I have is when you think about Christmas, what does love look like in your daily life? Not just in words, but in actions. Think about that for a minute. If you're able to, or if you want to, please put that in the chat so we can share that with everyone else. I'll read it again. When you think about Christmas, what does love look like in your daily life? Not just during Christmas, in your daily life. Not just in words, but in actions. I never waited to give gifts to my family and friends, never waited till Christmas to do that, never waited to birthdays. If I felt compelled to do something, I just do it. Uh, my kids, if they're doing well in school and doing well in some of the social stuff they were doing, you know, I don't care what time of year it was, I'd just go buy a PlayStation, and go buy some games I heard them talk about to play on the PlayStation, or some other thing, a guitar or saxophone or something that they had, expressed some interest in. Just go and get it for them. I didn't have to wait till Christmas or birthday or some special occasion to do that. Being kind to people, right? See people and speak to people. Um, One of the things I learned when I was very young, right? Right out of high school, I left and joined the Air Force, went to basic training. And I learned really quickly that not every place was like New Orleans, right? In New Orleans, man, you spoke to everyone. Hey, nah, how y'all doing? Spoke to everyone. I had a chance to live in some other places around the country, and people walk right by you and won't speak. You'll speak to them, and they'll look at you like you're crazy, or won't speak at all. Um, so speaking to people, I can remember my grandmother telling me, she said, even if they don't speak to you, you speak, right? Yeah, I see. Cuz has on here, Alicia, just being caring and kind to people every day. Yes, yes, that's what it looks like. It should look like daily in our lives, right? Being caring, being kind, being respectful to people every single day. If we do that, man, we can change this world. Second question: who is someone or a group you find difficult to love? I bet each one of us, when you hear this question, someone pops up in your mind, right? Excuse me. I am getting better, getting my voice back, feeling better. So, question number two: who is someone or a group you find difficult to love? And what would it mean to see them through a lens of shared humanity or through a lens of love? I'll say that again. Please jump in and share that in the chat. Who is someone or a group you find difficult to love? And what would it mean to see them through a lens of shared humanity or see them through a lens of love? Think about that for a moment. Share that with us. All right, while you're thinking about that and getting ready to share that, number three, how can families practice love intentionally during the Christmas season beyond gift giving? Okay. We have been conditioned now to think that showing love during this season is just exchanging gifts. But I want you to think outside of that traditional Christmas box, right? How can families practice love intentionally during the Christmas season beyond gift giving? I see a fraternity brother, Brother Abraham Samuel, has joined us, and I really admire his family, the way he leads his family, the way he demonstrates love toward his family, the way he supports his family. And I'm pretty sure he has some pretty good ideas to share with us about this question. How can families, question number three, how can families practice love intentionally during the Christmas season beyond gift giving? Beyond gift giving. I tell you one way is just calling and letting our family members know that we're thinking about them, or we just wanted to hear their voice, wanted to know if they needed support in any area, right? That's a great practice during this season. Instead of just, what do you want for Christmas? Or, in the long lines trying to buy some item for a loved one. No, what practices can we do to demonstrate our humanity, our love for our families, as well as our friends, our community, and all the other associations that we have? Question number four. In what ways can loving God's creation become part of our faith and values? That's a really good one. Really good one. I want to say that again. In what ways can loving God's creation become part of our faith and our values? Okay, I see Alicia. She said, I think once we learn people's personalities, it is easier to understand and deal with people. Absolutely. Meet people where they are, right? Not where we want them to be or think they should be. We should meet people where they are and be friends, right? Love them, encourage them in any way that we can, and not be so judgmental. Or we can be judgmental, right? Good point. Good point, Alicia. So, question four. In what ways can loving create God's creation become part of our faith and our values, our shared values? Well, you've heard me say this before. One of the things that's really big for me is cleanliness, right? Um, and that's a part of my value system, right? Keeping things around me orderly and clean. Scripture tells us that God does things decently and in order, right? So one of the things for me, in terms of loving God's creation, is if I'm walking like here in my community and I see trash, I tend to pick the trash up and put it in a trash can. Keeping our environment clean, keeping our community clean. That's a big thing for me. And I learned the power of just initiating something, right? Just doing something. Matter of fact, uh, I'm writing a book right now that I'm hoping to get completed by the end of next summer, and it's about leadership. It's entitled "It's Time to Lead, Not Follow." It's time to lead, not follow. And I can remember, first home in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, in a not so good neighborhood, really terrible neighborhood. Trash was everywhere. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get out here, start picking up this trash. I was program director at Boys and Girls Club. I would get the kids, get in the Boys and Girls Club van, come over to the community. And of course, we were doing this in other communities before I got my home. and start picking up trash. Next thing I knew, my neighbors were coming out with us and picking up trash. And my neighbors were more cognizant of getting out and making sure we keep the neighborhood clean. So it's time to lead, not follow. But that's one way I show love to God's creation. It's part of my faith, part of my values. Last one, last one. I'm going to let you go. What is one act of love you can commit to this season that could outlast Christmas Day? One act of love that you can commit to this season, this Christmas season, that can or could outlast Christmas Day. I'll give you an idea. Of course, during this season, we have a number of groups, churches. They're going to go out to senior living facilities and bring gifts and goodwill and those sorts of things, food. Maybe come sing some songs, some Christmas carols. How about we commit to beyond Christmas Day, going to those communities once a month, once every other week, um, and just going by to say hello, right? And spend some time playing bridge or a card game or backgammon or dominoes or whatever it is with some of the seniors in our community, right? At the church I was pastoring, we had about 2,500 square feet designated for a community center, and we had a whole section planned out for the elders in the community, right? And of course, Katrina hit and destroyed pretty much everything that we were building at that time. But the reason that I bring that up is because we were thinking about how we were going to impact every level, every segment of our community in the Eighth Ward, Gentilly area in New Orleans, and we wanted to make sure our seniors had a place where they can come in, play games, have coffee, donuts, talk with each other, share with us, some of their concerns in the community, bring politicians in to talk with them and hear them, all of those sorts of things. So that's just a suggestion, right? Or how I would answer this question. What is one act of love you can commit to this season that could outlast Christmas Day? Of course, it doesn't have to be seniors, it can be young people, supporting young people in your community, supporting the schools in your community, going and volunteering at the schools in your community. It could be a number of different acts that can last beyond this Christmas season. Let me see. Alicia. Alicia jumped in again. She said, I think one way is to see people the way God sees them and learning how to pick and choose our battles. Absolutely. Very good point. We definitely got to learn how to pick and choose our battles. Yes. And we got to see people through the lens of God. And what is that lens? That's love, right? That's our shared humanity. And that's how we should see people, right? All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me tonight, spending these few moments with me. Um, Once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, however you celebrate this season. I hope and pray that it is a joyous time. You make some wonderful memories that you can carry with you for the rest of your life. And once again, if you haven't already, to support us, support Meaningful Conversations with Dr. Devin Oten, I need you to subscribe to my channel, to hit that bell, to like, comment, share on our page, and invite others to come and partake of our content if you enjoy our content. And as we move through this Christmas season, my hope is that we don't rush past the deeper invitation, right? And that invitation is to love boldly, right? Not passively, but love boldly, live with compassion, live compassionately, and let's see one another fully instead of partly, right? Let's see each other fully for the good in us, for the bad in us, whatever it is. Let's see each other fully in our full display of humanity, imperfect beings. So, may our choices be different moving forward. Because if we truly understand this power to change the world, as we've been talking about tonight, love, um, our choices, our conversations, and our willingness to show up for one another will change, drastically. So may this season remind us that loving humanity and caring for creation is not optional, it's mandatory, it's essential, right? So I love you tonight. And I pray that you have a wonderful Christmas on tomorrow. And I will see you next Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell on my YouTube channel, comment, share, and invite your friends, your family to come and partake with us. Okay. All right. Take care, everybody.